Welcome, everyone. The 17th running of the Grade 2 $1 million Charlestown Classic takes place this coming Friday, August 22nd. The Classic is the 11th race on a 13-race program. Post time for the card is 5 p.m. Here are Frank Vespe of the Racing Biz and Charlestown track announcer Paul Espinosa discussing the
first
Classic.
Headline of that evening is going to be Skippylongstocking going to come back and try to make it 3 straight years. He's earned $3.7 million, and no small portion of that has come from winning the Charlestown Classic twice.
Correct. He would be looking to be the first horse to ever win 3 straight classics. We've had a number of 2-time winners. Obviously, you start off with the hometown hero Researcher right off the bat, and then you have obviously a horse like Imperative and Art Collector, and then here's Skippy. He's won it twice, but none of them have been able to win it a third time, and so he is trying to make some history, kind of following the same pattern that he did last year with an off-the-board performance in the Whitney coming back in 20 days. He didn't look like he was, again, hitting the line with a lot of gusto in the Whitneys, but Saffie Joseph seems to think he kind of needed that race a little bit off of the layoff, and so he believes he's going to be sitting on a good one here coming back in 20 days, but again, certainly we know that he has no issue with the lights, no issue with the track. If he gets beat, it's because maybe the Whitney took a little bit out of him, but I would expect him to show up with his A race per usual.
Well, he's a lot more sort of accomplished than his rivals here. You got some nice horses. You got Awesome Aaron, who won the Pimlico Special. You've got Gould's Gold, who's Kenny McPeak horse, who is owned by the Mystic Dan folks, and a couple others. But it's kind of if Skippy's up to his Skippy ways, he probably wins here. Who are you looking at as maybe some of the dark horse candidates to make an impact?
Yeah, so I do think that in years where you have horses coming back that, like, formidable, legit horses that people know, like, okay, this guy's for real, I do think that tends to have a little bit of a negative impact on the entry box. I don't think there are a lot of people running in line to face him. But that being said, I do think that, again, a number of these contenders, I do think they're kind of like that, lower level Grade 2, Grade 3, maybe up and comer types, a couple of the horses you mentioned. Yep. But I think one that in particular that really kind of surprised me whenever I looked at him, a horse named Willie Dees for Mike Maker. And he has been running some really fast races here as of late. I am looking right now at the entries. It's sort of like it's almost like election night. It's like, at this point, people are at the polls and they're about to close because, again, it's kind of out of your hands at this point. We've already voted, if you will, and so just kind of watching the entries trickle in and seeing who actually does show up. But Willie Dees is in there. He has Louis Saez named to ride, and again, he's had some really fast races his last couple, and we've seen Mike Baker do this a lot with turf horses, but also with some of these dirt horses where, he'll be a reclamation project, and Willie Dees, I think, is one of those. He has the style, I think, that fits Charlestown, and one thing to keep an eye on with Skippy, obviously he's won from off the pace before at other places, but both times he's won at Charlestown, he has walked on the lead. He's gone wire to wire both years. Both years he's won by about 5 lengths. So, again, it's been pretty much carbon copy performances. So this year, with a horse like Willie Dees, maybe a horse like Awesome Aaron, he could end up facing a little bit more heat up front than he's used to. So that could be one little fly in the ointment for the favorite this year. But like you said, on paper, nobody's resume is going to stack up to what Skippy's done.
Yeah, he has quite a resume. Willie Dees, an interesting horse. He used to be trained by Greg Compton, and Willie Dees, I believe, is a bar in Little Rock or Hot Springs, Arkansas. But this was a horse they were always high on. They always thought he had something there, and he'd pop a good race from time to time, but he didn't quite put it together. And I think, like you're saying, it seems like maybe right now he is putting it together.
That's the thought. I mean, again, I know sometimes up there at Indiana, I wanted to say Indiana Grand, but I guess it's Horseshoe Indy, that they, on their big day, it's like they're running on asphalt, but, going a mile and 70 and 137 and change. I mean, it's pretty insane. Again, I don't get a chance to look at the buyer speed figures early, but so I just have access to the Equibase past performances. But again, his 115 and 117 speed figures his last two races make him very competitive in this field. And so again, he'd just be one that I'd be a little bit intrigued by. And again, the fact that you have Luis Saez named to ride, he is an aggressive rider. So I don't think he's definitely not going to hand the lead to Skippy this year. I think if he breaks, I think you'll see Willie D's on the front end. And again, Skippy has rated before. He just hasn't done it here. So that would be the one question mark that he'd have to answer just locally here at Charlestown, rating around the bull ring.
Check out theracingbiz.com all week long for more on the Charlestown Classic and the supporting races, including the Grade 2 Charlestown Oaks. Good luck!